You're playing a hitman that lives a double life who then has early
Also,
onset
we have to talk
Alzheimer's.
about Talking Heads, right? That was another
Oh,
one.
sorry.
Remember
I'm
Talking
happy to go
Heads?
back to the music.
So,
I just don't want to get into trouble with your PR.
just watch Memory of a Killer, and then we're going to talk about some more music.
It's the afternoon show with me, Kate Thornton, and I'm joined now by actor and racing car driver, don't you know, Patrick Dempsey.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you? Welcome to London.
It's great to be in London.
On Greatest Hits Radio, we play only songs from the 70s, 80s and 90s. How does that sit in your musical wheelhouse?
The late 60s into the early 70s, things changed so much.
What's happened now is there is a renaissance, right, with the
People
young
are going
kids.
back.
My son says things to me like, wow, you know who Kate Bush is?
That was the interesting thing, that Kate Bush suddenly became so popular.
Right.
I remember, and here's a great memory, when Fleetwood Mac rumors first came into the house. My sisters are a little bit older than I, and they brought the album in, and they put that on. That became very popular about a year ago with the gentleman riding the skateboard. And I went into the Palisades to this Indian restaurant to get some food, and I look, and nobody's in there. And I look over, and there's Lindsey Buckingham is sitting in the corner.
Did you have a moment?
I did. I had a
Good
total
man.
fan moment. I went over, and he goes, Patrick. And I was like, oh, so blown away that he had recognized me. And I sat down, and we started talking. And I go, I'm sure you hear this a lot, but I have to tell you, that music in your album, and I remember we had the turntable in the kitchen. For whatever reason, it was in the kitchen. And my sisters had come in, they unwrapped it, and they put it on, and we listened to it like 3 times over and over again. And it always reminds me of that.
You talk so beautifully there about your sisters bringing home a piece of vinyl. You unwrap the cellophane. You have that almost ceremonial moment of
cracking.
putting it onto the
Yeah.
turntable. You drop the needle on the record. And then you stand back and you would watch it play.
Yes.
You would watch what you were listening to.
And you had
with
to
no
participate, because then it would end, or then you had to be delicate when you put it back so
Yeah,
you don't
be
scratch
careful.
it. But you're starting to see, I think, more and more people wanting to go back to that.
I hope
And the
so.
sound quality is so different.
Yeah.
It's not as pure and as clean. It's almost like watching like the digital TV screens. When you're watching sports, it's fantastic. But when you watch a vintage movie, it's destroyed because the contrast is gone.
Yeah.
The lighting is no longer the same. It's the same for music in that way. You have Led Zeppelin, of course, The Who.
Yeah.
Getting into the later 70s, you start to see the punk movement happening.
How did that land in the US? Because obviously it was a movement that we felt very much emerged and came from London.
It was just a different time, and it was everybody was rebelling against the commercialization of the industry and those big bands and things like that. So you had Led Zeppelin, that wasn't critically acclaimed, but now they are, and they had that wonderful documentary. In the early 70s, you were listening to, all of the yacht rock.
Yacht rock's back.
Right, it's huge. So all of that stuff.
Hall & Oates are
Hall & Oates
literally
is back.
bossing it again. If
Yeah.
only they were talking. What a shame.
And then you get into The Cure, right? We're into that. The Dead Can Dance, but that's much later.
Yeah.
Last night on TV, they were talking about Run DMC in the early 80s. And when I first got to New York, they were just starting to hit. And that was like the big thing that everybody was talking about. And now, the techno music of like the 90s and stuff like that, when you're going like that punk and all of those.
We forget how seismic it was when
Yeah.
Rick Rubin came up with the idea of putting Run DMC and Aerosmith together. That
Brilliant
brilliant rock
combination.
rap
Yeah.
marriage that
Yeah.
has never stopped running. That train left the station and it's never stopped running. I love that.
Yeah.
You love your music. I really hear that.
In jazz, you go into the softer stuff of like the Miles Davis, the sweetness of that, and the gentle side of Coltrane, I think, is a really beautiful album. And then Chet Baker Sings, those type of things, the West Coast jazz of that period. And then, KCRW was really a place where they were releasing. I remember hearing Beck for the first time. You had the disco era, remember?
Oh, remember Nile Rodgers,
Saturday night.
Giorgio Moroder.
The Bee Gees, right? The Bee Gees were
Gees.
until they started burning the records with the DJ. Remember that?
It became the victim of its own success.
Yeah, it became too popular, like anything. Once it gets too popular, people want to destroy
But I
it.
defy you now, right? When you hear those opening bars of You Should Be Dancing, if
Right.
your hips don't wiggle, you're dead from the waist down.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Do you wiggle?
I like to wiggle. Sure, who doesn't? You need to wiggle. And at my age, I got to keep wiggling. You have certain songs that you remember of your childhood, driving in and out.
Yeah.
And I was always listening to the radio, and before we had iPhones, things like that. So it was the blimp. It was like 106.7, which was out of this like trailer, and they were playing all the rock and roll music. And it was the same playlist then that they have now. It hasn't changed at all.
Exactly.
But it was a different time in the music industry, right? It's
It
a
really
whole
was.
different time.
You are not here to talk about your record collection from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I must talk to you about Memory of a Killer.
Right.
The irony of which is you're playing a hitman that lives a double life who then has early
Also,
onset
you have to talk about
Alzheimer's.
Talking Heads, right? That was another
Oh,
one.
sorry.
Remember
I'm happy
Talking
to go back
Heads?
to the music.
So-
I just don't want to get into trouble with your PR.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, let's do Talking Heads then. Patrick, go.
Just watch Memory of a Killer, and then we're going to talk about some more music.
There you go,
But
we've done
anyway,
that.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Talking Heads.
I remember that was amazing, right? Having that.
What do you have it on
Tears for
vinyl
Fears. Remember
or
Tears for
cassette?
Fears?
Tears for Fears.
And then
shout.
you shout it on out. Then
Woman in Chains with Aletta Adams.
there you go. That's right.
Oh.
And then, of course, now there's this thing of The Breakfast Club, remember?
Yeah.
The soundtrack of all those movies.
Simple Minds.
That's
Having
right.
a moment with that soundtrack.
That's right.
Soundtracks were everything back then,
They
weren't
were.
they? You
They
got
were.
a good soundtrack sync, then you were absolutely laughing.
And you'd go to the record store, and, you had the record store on Sunset, which is no longer there. So all that stuff is gone. Now you just go, okay, what do I want to listen to? And I'll scroll through my phone book, and then we'll get turned on, or my kids turn me on to something. I'll be like, you're listening to that? And then you're like, oh, I remember when we had to go see that.
Yeah.
And my wife and I went to go see Morrissey, and the Smiths and all that. It's just funny that this new generation is starting to discover it, and it makes you feel so much older.
But they are historical documents now.
Yeah.
My kids, and I'm sure yours too, think that the 90s was a long time ago.
Look at Oasis now coming back.
Right.
And they sound great. I think to see everybody come back together and play, and in that era of music, too, of what was coming out of England at that time is really, but people are starting to rediscover that.
They hit the reset button, I think.
Yes.
With that,
Yeah.
that movement. We hadn't had anything that felt that authentic since
Right.
grunge, which was very much a stateside movement.
You had Nirvana that started that whole thing, and it just changed.
And then you realise Nirvana split up in 1994.
It was so fast and so done, and you just live fast, die young that was them.
It's been great reminiscing about
yeah.
music with you.
Yeah.
Are you sure there wasn't a career for you in music?
No, it's never been a talent I've had, but I really look at musicians and their ability to write, right? This was going back to the 70s, is the emergence of the singer-songwriter. And then you had the breakup of the Beatles, and then you had Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young come in and take over, and that new generation came in.
Sitting alongside that, the whole Motown movement.
Right.
Which was almost a production house of great
Yeah,
songwriters and artists. And, we're going to write that for the Jacksons. No, give it to Marvin Gaye. Oh, no, Stevie Wonder wants that. And it worked.
Uh-huh.
There was a magic to that too.
Now you have all
musically.
the younger generation coming along.
Stay with me. We're going to play one of your favourite records, and then we're going to come back. And we are going to talk about Memory of a Killer. I have not forgotten.
Oh, good.
It's Kate Thornton. It's the afternoon show. Patrick Dempsey is still with me. And what a pleasure it's been to riff with you through your record collection of the 70s, 80s and 90s.
Thank you.
You're here because you're back on our screens,
Yes.
on our small screens.
Yes.
For the first time in a long time, Patrick Dempsey.
Yes.
Playing a hitman,
Yes.
which is not how we know and love you.
No, it's completely different, which was why I did it.
Yeah.
It was fun to do something completely different, something unexpected, and it was. I was surprised to get the offer, and I got a call. I had to make a decision within 24 hours.
Oh,
and,
how was
And I
that?
love the concept, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, because look, we should explain. He's not just a regular hitman. Not that there is such a thing, but he's a hitman facing Alzheimer's
Yes,
and a deteriorating memory.
correct, which is not a good thing for that career choice.
No.
He lives a double life. He has
Yeah.
a suburban life, and he has these two separate worlds that he's trying to keep separate, and they're starting to collide, and it's scaring him. And that's sort of the foundation of the season.
I could talk to you all day.
I know. we
Sadly, I'm
could,
not allowed.
But we're running out of time.
I know. What a pleasure you are, sir.
And you as well.
Do enjoy Memory of a Killer. It's available now, streaming on Amazon Prime here in the UK. You are, as always, excellent in it. And please come back anytime. I'm going to go home and spend, the rest of the weekend listening to your music.
Thank you very much. I'll send you my playlist.